You're listening to the Situation Today podcast with Gulf Business. If you'd like to learn more about the latest business stories in the GCC region, please visit www.gulfbusiness.com. Good afternoon, my name is Gareth Vincel and I'm the Group Editor of Gulf Business, and we're here for a special edition at Leap 2024 today. And it's a pleasure to welcome with me Michael Champion, who is the Chief Executive Officer of Tahaluf, which is the organizer of this event. Michael, thank you so much for being with us today.
Well, thank you very much, Gareth. It's always nice to have an interview with you, and you've supported us for many years in terms of your publications. So really grateful to have you here as well again.
Well, it's a great pleasure for us to be here as well, and to be at one of the biggest tech events in the world right now. And just on that point, it's day one here right now. How's it gone?
We couldn't be happier. Really, we couldn't be happier. We've expanded, we've scaled, we've improved on so many different levels. From the beginning, in 2022, when we launched those few years ago, it launched as the largest debut tech event in history. Okay, 100,000 attendance. We were really pleased with that. And then the next edition, we got 172,000 attendance. But we were always, a little bit constricted by the scaling opportunity in terms of the area that we could inhabit.
Yeah, sorry.
And so we made the kind of bold plan this year to move the event from our home at the time, in the center of Riyadh, to Malham, which is it's in Riyadh, but it's on the outskirts of Riyadh. And this has allowed us to move to a far larger area, more parking, more space and breathing room. And if I give you an example of how we've grown because of that move, we now have about 151,116 square meters of built space that we've built, or we are cohabiting. We've had to build somewhere in the region of 90,000 or so meters square of temporary space, and we're talking about really good quality temporary space, but we've had to build that. And that puts us, in terms of the size and scale of the show, the third largest tech event in the world, just in terms of the square meters. It puts us behind Mobile World Congress, which is just over 200,000 square meters, and it puts us some way behind CES, which is about 400,000 square meters or something like that. But we haven't reached the limit, I can tell you. We have 2,000 companies that are on our waiting list. There are companies here who really wanted to get even bigger space, So we're trying to devise ways in which we can retain a really good customer experience, grow the event even more, and incorporate and include some of those companies that are on the waiting list.
And it definitely looks like there's huge demands to get in here. Just for us driving in here this morning, it was a line of cars. But that, I guess, is a good sign for you, right? The sort of high traffic that's coming in here. Just in terms of registrations, are you able to give us any insights into that for this year?
We thought we did well with registrations last year. We hit 300,000 in terms of the registrations. We've got an excellent conversion rate on the people that register. And this year, we're tracking 30% or so above those registrations. We won't know the full registration number until the end of the event, because people obviously register during these next few days as well. But one of the most exciting statistics I can give you about this is that we've landed on just over 75,000 international registrations, from pretty much most countries around the world. And when you think about that level of interest that Saudi is generating right now, to have 75,000 people from most countries around the world register, plan to attend. You and I know it's difficult to get a hotel room here now, right? In fact, I find it difficult to get hotel rooms for even my members of staff. Our colleagues that are working on this event. Thankfully we managed to get it, but I know a lot of people are struggling actually to find it because there's so much interest in this. So yes, you're right. When we see lines of of cars queuing up to come to this venue, we're delighted that the interest is huge. But we need to make sure, this is exactly the reason why we moved to Malham. We need to have a venue that is spacious enough for us to be able to have people come here and for them to want to dwell here.
Right.
And I think we're going to be able to achieve that. I'm pretty sure we'll be able to announce some pretty exciting attendance numbers later on today and towards the end of the show. You've seen outside, we've got an enormous food festival sponsored by Jahez, the food app in Saudi. That's given people a next level experience, which we didn't have at the previous event. We've doubled the amount of speakers, startups. Everything is 2x or 3x. So that's testimony to the team who've worked on this. Yes, our partners, the Ministry of Communications and IT. Yes, also SAF, CSP, the Federation for Cybersecurity. Yes, the Events Investment Fund, who are shareholders of Tahaluf. But really, from my perspective, the great team at Tahaluf who have worked on this, and many of them have worked on it for 4 years from the very beginning. They've been here helping to build this brand and bring it to the event it is today.
Please.
And, just touching on what some of the key themes around this event is for this year, I've noticed that there's Geek Fest, which obviously has the big artificial intelligence focus to it, and AI around the world right now is exploding in terms of popularity. Would you say that is one of the core driving themes, or are there other interesting themes that you think that delegates and attendees should be wary of?
I would love to unearth a surprise theme for you, but everywhere around the world right now, it's AI, okay? And I think probably what differentiates Deep Fest, you talked about Deep Fest is a really exciting aspect of Leap. It's a co-located event in its own right. It's fully supported by our friends at Sadaya, the Data and AI Authority here in Saudi Arabia, doing great things, those guys, and also the Ministry of Media. They're involved as well because they really want to see how AI can change, media going forward. And we've already seen how much media has been potentially and also currently emerging as a very disruptive sector because of artificial intelligence, whether that's journalists, AI written articles or potentially AI produced videos and things like this. So I'd love to be able to unearth something for you. What I would say is, of course, AI is the most important sector, but I would suggest anybody that comes to this event to really start looking at if they want to find out what's next, particularly from a business investment perspective, go to the startup area. We've got 700 startups at this event, about 688 startups at this event. And, some of these are going to be vying for the biggest prize, in startup competitions in the region. $1 million prize pool, no equity, no strings attached. These guys, they pitch for incredibly, exciting amounts of money to be given to them with no equity, no strings attached. And I think spinning off from that, we'll see some exciting businesses. You've asked me about 2024, Leap. Well, the guys at the startup sector today, we'll probably be talking about some of those guys in 2034 as pretty major companies.
And, as I was driving in here, it sort of reminded me of when I went to the Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas a few years ago.
All right.
There's kind of a similar feel to it insofar as both events happen in a desert-like environment. But I mean, what is the goal for Leap ultimately? Like you say, already by square meterage, you're the third largest tech show in the world now. Where do you see this going in the next 5 to 10 years' time?
In many cases, it's quite easy to set physical targets and work to achieve them. We want to be the biggest, or we want to have the most attendance, or we want to have the most speakers, or that sort of thing. And I don't think the quality of an event is necessarily tethered to the size of the event. It's more about the impact of an event, the economic impact. That's what matters to the local economy, and in terms of the business that emanates from that event, the outcomes of that event. Okay, and I think that impact has really shown over the last few years. I give you a practical example. If you take the minister's speech this morning, His Excellency Minister Abdullah Al-Swaha, he was very, very keen to track over those 2-3 years the impacts that LEAP as a vehicle, or as a facilitator, or just as just something to help parts of the industry move along, has had. And that one example I'd give that he gave was Garage. Garage is an incubator, accelerator here, has a program here which brings on a cohort of startups, encourages the investment, the adoption of the technology and services that those startups have. And he gave a lovely example of 3 companies, one from Canada, one from the UK, one from Pakistan. And when they came to join the Garage cohort, they were worth combined value of something like $150,000, $200,000. It was a very early stage. Now these companies, after a couple of years, are worth $80 million. And that's because LEAP is a facilitator of business. It has helped promote the launch of an event like a accelerator or incubator like Garage, but it's had a partnership with it, and we bring on into LEAP many of Garage's startups, and this, I think, show with the amount of investors, with the amount of buyers, end users that come to this show, has without any doubt really helped the fortunes of companies that exhibit here or participate.
And just as a final question, you obviously couldn't host an event like this without the support from the local governments and the higher levels of government here. Can you maybe extrapolate on that for us in terms of just the kind of support that you've got from them in order to do something as ambitious as this?
We've worked with the Ministry of Communications and IT from the very beginning on this event, and we have a collaborative approach. Tahaluf has a collaborative approach with lots of the ministry in terms of customer experience, the content, sort of speakers that we think are most aligned with government and Saudi Arabia going forward. What I mean by that is, let's really start to focus on AI. Let's focus less on this sector. This is what's more important to us. And I think a really great example of the collaboration and the power that the collaboration has is the speaker faculty. Tahaluf is able to bring in hundreds, 800 or so speakers. But there's also some brilliant speakers that come in because of the relationship that they have with the Saudi government, the big business that they do with the Saudi government, and they see it as a priority market. And so you've seen C-levels from all over the world fly in, for this event, and that's clearly because they see Saudi Arabia as being a big priority market for them. They've got great friendships with the minister, the ministry, and other His Excellencies or Her Excellencies in the kingdom, and that's why they want to support it. We don't want to do a tech event that doesn't have some government support. And I think one of the most important aspects of government support for us is just how fast the event is scaled. And it scales this quickly. You do need support in terms of road traffic, in terms of road traffic safety, security, things like this. You need that support to ensure that everybody has a better time, a better experience, a safer experience, and we do it in a better measured sort of way. Had we not enlisted the support of that, then we would struggle to get the adequate signage around the city and that sort of thing. Just from a practical perspective, the adequate health and safety response measures that that the Ministry of Health have helped us with, that sort of thing. So clearly, government wants to create massive, impactful events. It wants to create iconic events. It knows the economic impact that has, not just on the city or the country, the direct economic impact, but the multiplier effect these events have in terms of business that's done here, whether it's serendipitous or whether it's pre-planned and there's a matchmaking scheme behind it. They know that, they know it's important, and they want more of these events. But if they want, these events, these events scale very quickly, it's important to partner with government so that you're not artificially restricting their growth, when they're growing so fast. I think that's those are some of the most important aspects in which we've partnered with government for sure.
Michael Champion, thank you so much for being with us today on Golf Business.
Oh, thank you very much. Much appreciated, Gareth.
Great. Thank you. You're listening to the Situation Today podcast with Golf Business. If you'd like to learn more about the latest business stories in the GCC region, please visit www.golfbusiness.com.